gentlemen, welcome one and all to The Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. Look, I know that all of us have been so concerned that with John Bolton gone, there is no national security advisor. There's no one steeped in all the facets of international, political, military, and economic conflict who could make sense of a dangerous world and give our president the essential information he needs to completely ignore and tweet whatever he wants. Well, everyone can breathe easy. Stop worrying, because the position has finally been filled. Introducing future former national security advisor and photo that comes with a picture frame, Robert C. O'Brien. Now, Trump made the announcement about O'Brien in Los Angeles, which explains why the guy looks like the second male lead on Suits. Of course, the National Security Advisor is a critical member of the administration and one of the most powerful positions in the world. Something that important can only be revealed via tweet. I am pleased to announce that I will name Robert C. O'Brien, currently serving as the very successful special presidential envoy for hostage affairs at the State Department, as our new national security advisor. I have worked long and hard with Robert. He will do a great job. So, little doses. So, that's interesting. He hired a hostage negotiator. Someone who is known to talk madmen down from the brink. That will come in handy. Mr. President, we know you're locked in the Oval Office and we don't want you to do something you'll regret. Think of your family. Wait, no, think of something you love. Think of a bucket of fried chicken, sir. Think of the nuggets. And Trump has worked closely with O'Brien before. Most recently, when President Trump sent him as a special envoy to A$AP Rocky's Swedish assault trial. I did not realize that A$AP Rocky was being held hostage. What was Sweden asking for in return? Mamma Mia 3? But hostage negotiator doesn't seem like a natural resume for national security advisor. So what possibly brought him to Trump's attention at this critical juncture? Well, yesterday, Trump told reporters, Robert O'Brien said, Trump is the greatest hostage negotiator in history. He happens to be right. Oh, I would love to see hostage negotiator Trump. Oh, you have a list of demands? I have a few of my own. First, you have to admit that The Apprentice went way downhill with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, he lit a fire. Now, two over there. Now, then Trump appeared with O'Brien on a noisy tarmac at LAX for a West Coast episode of Chopper Talk. Now, tensions have been high in the Middle East ever since the fall of Jericho, but more recently since an attack on Saudi oil refineries that the Saudis blame on Iran. So far, Trump has declined to order military action in response, which Senator Lindsey Graham called a sign of weakness. But Trump pointed out, nah.
I actually think it's a sign of strength. We have the strongest military in the world now, and I think it's a great sign of strength. It's very easy to attack, and, there's plenty of time to do some dastardly things.
Dastardly? Look, I'm not saying attacking Iran is the right thing to do, but I have never heard the commander-in-chief call U.S. military action dastardly. Dastardly is how you describe a villain in a 1930s two-reeler. You must bomb Iran. I can't bomb Iran. You must bomb Iran. I can't bomb Iran. I'll bomb Iran. My hero. Curses. He's the greatest negotiator of all time. Now, no, wait. She's still tied to the railroad track. Don't, Mr. President. Then Trump threatened that things, well, they could get serious.
Well, there are many options, as you know, Phil. There are many options, and there's the ultimate option, and there are options a lot less than that.
You say the ultimate option, are you talking
No, I'm
about
saying the ultimate option, meaning go in war. No, I'm not talking about that ultimate option.
Okay, but by definition, there can be only one ultimate option. There could be an alternate option, but there can't be an alternate ultimate option. What does Trump think the other ultimate option is? It's either go to war or the ultimate option, power steering and a sunroof, okay? Wow. All right, it always leaks, but it's nice.